YouTube. Yeah, so I got my pal James's brother contacted me the other day, said he'd made a couple of pedals and wondered if I wanted to have a wee shot of them. So I said, yeah, go for it. Unfortunately, I can't find his message, so I can't remember what his name is. And I can't remember what it was the pedals were. This one, I'm pretty sure, is a Dallas Rangemaster copy, which we all know, well, I know specifically from like the 60s and stuff, because obviously Tony Iommi used one, as did Brian May, basically anyone, I think, in the late 60s, early 70s, because you didn't really get very many pedals in the 60s and 70s. You got a wah-wah pedal, you got like a fuzz pedal, and you got a Dallas Rangemaster. I think that was kind of it. So it's a sort of treble booster, I think it's called, which sounds like, I don't really like the treble boosted, but I think it's more of a sort of drivey thing to make your amp that when you're playing through your Vox AC30 or your Laney, I can't remember what the model Tony Iommi used was, you know, gets the distortion thing. A sort of pre-master volume type amp sort of thing is what they're for. So I'm going to run this using my FGN telly, because it's awful good. I was playing it earlier on. I was like, Wilco Johnson died today, so I'm a wee bit upset about that. So I thought I'd play my telly. It's an awful good guitar. So I'm going to try it at the clean channel. I think probably running it into the dirty channel is a better idea though, as far as I know. So this has a knob and a 3-way switch. I know that Tony Iommi got his modded by some guy in Glasgow in the late 60s. He was doing a gig, and some guy who he doesn't know who it is was at the gig and said, your Dallas Rangemaster, I can modify that so it sounds better. So Tony just gave it to him. And then the following day the guy came back, gave it back to him. Doesn't know who he was. He could have just pinched it. Don't know. When you see Tony talking about it, he's like, yeah, he could have just fucked off with it. But he didn't. So I'd imagine that the switch probably is one of those sort of modifications, whatever it was he did to it. So I'm just going to... Here's the clean sounds just now. Bridge pickup. So I'll try turning it on with the knob at noon. Okay, so I'm going to do my wee trick again about putting something on top. Well, that might be probably perfect for going on top of that red light bulb. There you go. Just so that the bulb doesn't shine straight in. It's one of these modern, obviously he's made this himself, bought an enclosure. Not put any stickers or anything on it. I would be very tempted to Dymo label the bastard. But there we go. So actually it looks pretty good with the knob on it. So boy does it make it trebly, yes, I will give it that. I'll take it that's just volume, yeah. Ice pick, might be better than the neck pickup. So I mean, yes, it certainly is a treble booster. That is boosting the treble. So we'll try putting the switch down. That's been the middle setting. I may pause this video in a second and try something with humbuckers instead. Maybe a Telecaster's a bit bright to start with. Right, so the volume control basically just sets the volume, doesn't seem to do very much else. I'll try pushing the switch up. It actually kind of sounds like it's like a phase switch. I assume amps back in the day were maybe a bit muddy. This would make it not muddy. I'm going to go into the drive channel, see what happens. Bridge pickup, drive channel. It's definitely more use into the drive channel. Neck pickup. Switch down. Switch up. Well, it does actually have three quite distinct sounds. That could be a bad power supply I'm using there as a cheap one, making that noise. So kind of, to be honest, I think what I'm kind of using it for just now is sort of what it's meant for. Like the whole idea of having your amp, which would be kind of, if you just had it up louder, it would sort of sound like that. If you had like a non-master volume amp, maybe a little bit muddy in the middle position. What I really want to be looking for just now is I'm looking about to see if I can find like a sort of muddy sounding, you know, like a Les Paul or an SG or something a little bit muddier than this. I don't really have, nothing really appears to be particularly muddy. That's got super distortions in it. That one there's got super distortions in it as well, which are kind of on the treblier edge. Mind you, super distortions probably suit this era of pedal. To be honest, if I was going to, at some point, I'll try building pedals. Don't know how to do it. I'll just be following a circuit board, which is not really the way I do things. I normally kind of know what I'm doing before I do it, rather than just copying a diagram. But it seems pretty good. Give me 2 seconds. I was going to try and pause the thing, but I don't actually see a pause button on my recording software, so I will just talk while I dig out this guitar. I'll try and do it without knocking over this. Yeah, so humbuckers, what we're going to get. Oh, this guitar's cold. Oh, winter has come, and I suppose I'll run it through the tuner just to make sure. This is not what I would describe as a muddy sounding guitar though. Muddier, so bridge pickup. Neck pickup. So neck pickup, middle position, on the switch, on. So it's definitely got a gain boosty type thing, but I think the idea here is because you're increasing the volume that's going into the amp, you're driving the tubes a bit more. Not sure if it works. I got a mark on my forehead. Do seem to have a bit mark. Right, it does kind of sound a bit like a phase switch in the audio. It's kind of like a phase switch, apart from a phase switch lowers the volume. This, well, because it's got a preamp or some sort of amplificationary device in it. So that the middle position seems sort of phasey. Up the way is a bit. My God, this guitar's got a thin neck. And down the way was, I think, a bit more gainy. doesn't normally do that on the clean channel, but that's because I very rarely use the dirty channel on the amp. So when I'm playing it there, oops, wrong button, that one, it's quite loud, but when I play this over the top, it's like the amp's only deciding, it's like the amp's deciding, well, is just playing whatever's louder. It's already pretty much crunchy sounding, so by adding more gain on top of it, on the going into the same input on the same guitar, it's totally knocking it out. I didn't really notice it doing it with the telly, to be honest, but it appears to be so. Where this would be really good is a couple of guitars I built, the Octoblaster and the Decimator. See, the Oct would be 8 coils in series, making a big muddy but very, very powerful but very, very muddy one pickup was one of the options on it, and the Decimator, which is 10 single coil pickups all together in series, making one big super block of mud. This would totally sort that out, just emphasise, leave all the bottom end, the power at the bottom, but then just give you some treble. That's why Brian May used one, because he's got those, his pickups are like single coils running in series, and if you've ever done that, I've done it with a few Bucky casters and stuff like that, you know, you can run like on a Strat. I'll point to this one. If you run these two in series, you get a humbucker, but because the coils are quite far apart, it's quite a muddy humbucker. This would work brilliantly for that. I don't have a guitar right now that has that sort of, as I said, this sort of powerful, super muddy sound. So I mean, it could totally transform your guitar. I think if you've got a guitar that you pure love and it's a bit muddy, you have this and you leave it on. Because it's not really, I don't know if it was ever really like Brian May and Tony Iommi actually used them as distortion pedals as such. I don't think they played with them not on. I think they just were basically, I think they were actually, Tony Iommi's one was actually screwed to the top of the amp, you know, just when I switch, and it was just on because the amp didn't do that. Later on, I think you get, is it called a Vox AC30 top boost, which kind of has one, a circuit similar to this built into the top of the amp. I think the up one's my favourite. Actually tried this one. Go back onto the clean channel. So here's the humbucker and clean. So just a kind of, it's basically just a boost, isn't it? But a trebly boost. Hence the name treble boost pedal. It'll be WhatsApp, won't it? Because I was thinking, I looked through my Mad Malco guitars, I looked through, there he is there, he's actually mentioned. So, never told me his name. Yes. No, it does have an accurate copy, it does a crackers, like, where's it written? The original Dallas Rangemaster. The treble booster has a level control and a 3-way switch that selects different diodes. Well, there you go. I don't know how big this web page is. So I'm sorry, James's brother. I know what you look like because your picture's here, but you don't actually tell me what your name was. Alright, right, so the Rangemaster isn't actually a pedal. Okay, fair enough. It's actually, I've seen it before, it's kind of like a... Can I look at that picture on its own? Not really. You can see it there. It's like a box. A box with a boost, off, on, guitar. I assume it's got an output in the back. Jeez, after I found out what some of these buttons do, it's like, so this is like a Denmark Street Online. I don't know if this actually has the circuit of which he copied. No, it's just a mention of it. Oh, it's nice. So £2,000. Yeah, so I thought maybe he'd sent me the link to where it was he got the circuit from, but no, it's just it's £2,000 for a Rangemaster. And I think that's basically what this is. I would probably suggest, rather than spending £2,000 on a Rangemaster, you either bought a clone of one or tried to make one. I don't know. Somebody must make these. I'm sure I've seen them. People on eBay selling something that looks very similar to this that they've kind of made themselves for sort of 30-40 quid, something like that. I would definitely have a go at that and see if you like the concept of it before you spend $2,000 on one. Was definitely the way to go. I would kind of honestly sort of suggest that with like, if you that's what I did. I did that with like a chorus pedal because I wanted to see what a chorus pedal was like and a delay and all that. So I just bought cheap ones, you know, not Behringer Bellcat ones, just to see. Okay, I know what chorus is in principle, but I've never actually owned the pedals. So what's it like when you can actually fidget with it? Not that I'm saying like the Bellcat chorus pedal's as good as even as a Boss one or anything like that, but I get paid 20 quid for it, you know. It's worth it to go if you want to go in that direction. It's, to be honest, I would sort of maybe even say that if you're looking at, I think I might buy a Strat type guitar. You know, I mean, don't go spending $2,500 on a Strat without really trying one. You know, buy one a second hand, you know, classic vibe or a slightly beat up one that you're not going to lose very much money on. See if you actually like the concept of a Strat, and then later on you can go, right, well, the Strat's not for me. You know, it's the sort of thing, if you know, it's unlikely you're going to play, you know, like a Strat, like one of these, like a Japanese Fender Strat or something like that, and not like the Strat thing at all, and then go, but I'll spend $2,000 in one and you will like it. It's going to be the same ballpark, similar sort of thing. You know, it's like there is a taste thing involved in these. I'm a wee bit like that with Les Pauls. I mean, I do like that, but it's still my pal's Aria. It's a really nice Les Paul, but I'm just not really a Les Paul-y person. It's not because they're cheap or because they're nasty. It's just they've got a sort of certain vibe. You know, a lot of people, when you buy a Strat, in fact, James was actually talking about buying a Strat just recently, his first sort of proper 3 single coily one, like a Strat, and they are a bit thin sounding if you're used to playing like a Les Paul or a SG, like something with humbuckers in it. You go to the thin ones and you go, oh god, it's awful thin. But I never used to like Strats. I thought they sounded terrible, but now they're probably my favourite. You just kind of get into it. I still tend to think this is maybe a bit of a Strat. So I would be tempted to put. Look, it's so powerful. It goes right through my finger. I would probably put like a wee resistor on that light bulb. It looks alright when you're not looking at it. In fact, you can sort of see the liquid on the surface of your eyeballs when you look at it. So maybe just putting a wee bit of duct tape or something on it, or a resistor in series with it, would calm that light down to not be quite so bright. I did that with my Rat pedal. I put a white light in it. I was up here. That's great. I was looking at it. I was up here. I'll just lean down and touch the dial, and then obviously you lean into when it comes out like a laser beam, and it was just pure scorched retinas. So, got their place. Interesting. Again, probably more for, if you use it for what it was designed for, which is you're playing through a 50 watt, 100 watt amp that's up really loud, it's a bit muddy. Smashing thing. I'm not really sure it's that much use when you're playing in the house with a sort of modern amp that's just got treble in it. You know, it's like more you're kind of adding treble to something that have got treble. I suppose the other way around, you could just like mess about with the EQ and turn all the treble off, and then use this to replace it, or turn the bass up too loud, or something to try and get away from the boominess of it. It's sort of like, it's a tool to fix a problem, and that's a problem which I don't think exists the same way as it did when it was invented as a tool to fix a problem. Maybe if you're running, you know, like an old Marshall GTM or pre-master volume type thing, it's a sort of thing that'll just give you that wee bit extra to push it into distortion. If you're trying to drive the amp and your amp doesn't have a gain channel, it doesn't have a master volume, and it's like, oh, even if I play it too loud, it's not quite distorted enough, it just gives it that wee tip over the edge. It looks like a gay tip over the edge, but just a wee, it looks like I'm now feeling someone's bottom. You know, it's like, just that wee extra bit to make it go. But I mean, it's well built. It sounds good. I don't think it really would be much use to me, to be honest. Or maybe use it as a boost for solos. You know, if you're playing away and you just want to, because it's got the volume control on it. You don't want to just have a. You're playing the band, you've got a couple of guitarists, you've maybe got a keyboard player, you're playing away and it's time for your solo. You don't really want to just ramp your volume up like mad. This will just ramp the treble up, which will make you stick out through the mix much better. So, great fun. And sorry, James's brother, can't remember what your name is, but to be fair, you didn't actually tell me what your name was. So, cheers. And the other pedal he's got is a Box of Rock clone, which has Marshall knobs on it, and it's got two knobs, two pitch switches. So I'll have a wee go at that later. I was more, to be honest, I was kind of. It's funny how it's like your preconceived ideas of what something's going to be. As soon as he said Dallas Rangemaster, it's like pure bells. Oh, we'll use one of them. What's that going to be like? I don't know if he still uses one. Maybe if it depends on what sort of amp you've got. If your amp's muddy, use it. Anyhow, good fun. I'm going to have to start making pedals. I think I'm going to try and make myself a fuzz pedal. The reason I didn't, but I was going to make one. I was going to buy one of the kits, and the cheapest kit I could find was like 25 quid, and I had to make it myself. But the Pi twin note fuzz was like £16 built. So I was like, why build one myself when I can just buy one previously built in a Chinese factory by kids out of the cheapest possible components and see what happens. I do still quite fancy making a fuzz pedal. In fact, I've got a Gojira Effects fuzz pedal, which is kind of this sort of hand wired D type thing. Not the same type of pedal, but a similar idea. And it's actually quite good. The problem is that it would be the experimental phase, which would be annoying, because I know pretty much all the components, if you're buying them, it's the same with, you know, like capacitors and stuff like that. It's like, if you're buying one, it'll cost you £1. If you buy a box of 20, it'll cost you £1.50. But you've got to build pedals to see which one it is you like and which one it is you want to make more of. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you were going to try to build 20 pedals, 20 fuzz pedals, you could easily churn them out for under a tenner each. But to build the equipment to buy one, it's going to cost you 25 quid. Annoying, isn't it? Okay, cool. Rock on. Catch you later.